when I looked at it from what I thought the future version of me might reflect back on, a lot of the things that were motivating me, I was having this awareness that like this stuff is quite shallow.
Analyzing what wasn't working before,
right?
Shifting that, but also shifting the narrative in your mind.
Who am I to say that like I don't have the ability to convert my message into sales? My soul was not being fulfilled by those things.
This is a string that hits my soul's chord.
Yeah.
And this is what resonates and this is what feels good.
What will people think of me? What will my friends say? What will my family say? I got to give it to myself to try it and see. Learn to be with yourself. Really start to trust yourself. Take confrontational action. And what that really meant was I had to confront my reality.
That is truly a remarkable way to go about thinking about the things that you're doing that might not be serving the person that you are wanting to become. This is Behind the Boss Lady podcast with your host, Shelby St.clair. I'm taking you behind the scenes of soul-led entrepreneurship as I hold space for paradigm-shifting conversations with awakened boss ladies. You're going to hear from women who share the good, the bad, and the ugly of what their journey to success looked like, leaving you with the advice and inspiration you need so that you never give the fuck up on your dreams. Your soul led you here for a reason. Join me every Wednesday as we dive deep into what it means to be an awakened boss lady in your life and business. Hello, Andi. Welcome to the show. I'm so stinking excited to talk with you today and just dive into this conversation that we are going to have because I know that you are going to leave so many golden nuggets with our audience and with everybody who's listening and just really help them have a different mindset and perspective on the things that we're going to dive into. But before we get into all the juicy goodness of everything that we have ahead, I want you to share who you are and what you do.
Yeah, I'm Andi, obviously, as you said. I what I do now, I really love working with women and creatives and those in the entrepreneurial realm. I spent over a decade in the beauty industry working on the corporate side of things. And I loved it. It was great. It was really soul filling for me for a long time. And about 10 years ago, I was like, I think I've run my course in this realm and I'm ready to do the next thing. And I thought about what is it that I really, really love? And I consider myself to be a new school futurist. So people sometimes are like, what does that even mean? I really believe that combining intuition, imagination, and analysis can create a better world. So everything that I do now is like, how do I help women, creatives, artists, and aspiring entrepreneurs to use intuition, use imagination, and a sense of analysis to better their lives? So that can feel kind of lofty, but that's ultimately what my goal is. And then on the other side of that, it's about helping people just to live a truer to themselves life. And so I get to do that in a lot of cool ways. I still do some corporate work, and the fact that I'm a consultant for some beauty brands. I also work with Google and Pinterest and some really cool tech companies doing interesting things from the standpoint of how do we infuse more creativity into those types of businesses. And then I get to work really closely with my community of women who are creative, kind, cool entrepreneurs. So that's the quick and dirty of me.
I love that. You have your hands in so many different things.
Yeah, classic manifesting generator for those of you that are into human design. I like to be in all the things.
I feel like I'm a Manny Gen too. So yeah, it's like you pop off with an idea and you're like, I've just
got to do it.
Obviously, I have to do it. I love it. Okay, so I want to know, because we both have this kind of background of beauty, the fashion industry, what revolves within all of that, the kind of energy that it holds.
Yeah.
What was the telltale sign for you that you were like, my course here is done?
Yeah. There was so many years where I was like, okay, I'm moving up the corporate ladder. I was working in the beauty industry. I actually ran a fashion incubator as like a side thing too. So I had this business, it was a fashion incubator, which, you and I have that fashion background in common. And I loved it. At least I thought I did. And then there was a couple of things that I noticed. One was when I looked at it from what I thought the future version of me might reflect back on, a lot of the things that were motivating me, I was having this awareness that like this stuff is quite shallow. Like it doesn't really matter that I'm at the coolest restaurant right now. It doesn't really matter that I like got these great new shoes or that I have the money to do that. And I started like noticing that like my soul was not being fulfilled by those things. I was 27 when I bought my first house and it had a pool. And I was like, okay, I've like done it. I'm like not even out of my 20s and I can buy myself anything that I want. I like don't need anybody but myself. And I thought that was going to be it. And then all of a sudden I was like, okay, I've got like the big job, got the house, got the pool, got the shoes, invited to the hot restaurants, and I am not happy. It's not that I was unhappy. It was like I kind of was a little bit like a zombie. I just like moved through the day, getting the things checked off the list. And then at night, I was like at the parties and like drinking too much and only like working out or exercising for the sake of like what I looked like, not to fill my mind, body, and spirit. And I was like, this is maybe not it. Like, is this what I want my legacy to be? I don't think so. And so while I truly loved like the people I worked with, and it wasn't that it was anything about the company that I was with or any of those things, it was about like what was fulfilling for me. And so when I made that decision, I was like, I gave myself a year, was like, okay, in 1 year, you're out of here. You need to get that money you're spending on shoes and dinner right now in the bank. You need to save and prepare for the fact that you may never make this type of money again. Of course, that was such a limiting belief and was very untrue. But I was like, how am I going to ever make six figures again without like working for the corporate, working for the man? So of course that wasn't true, but that I was terrified that like maybe that was going to be my truth. And so after a year, I made that decision and, never looked back again after that.
Yeah. And what a courageous act, right? Because that's something that I think that so many people sit in
Yeah.
is feeling that call for something more, recognizing how unfulfilled, unhappy they are in their workplace. But there is that belief that if they leave, they'll never have what they currently have.
Yeah. Sometimes I think it's harder when you're like kind of hitting and doing well at work, then it's like, ooh, if I actually jump, am I making a massive mistake? When you kind of are coming from like, I don't have anything, I'm working a job I don't really like, then it's a little bit like, I might as well go for it. But I had spent 10 years working my way up into the position I was in and was like, if I really step away from this and I close the fashion incubator, which is what I was so known for in the community that I lived in, it was like, if I walk away from all of this, like, who am I? How will I ever earn money again? Like, what will people think of me? What will my friends say? What will my family say? I don't know, but I have to like give myself I got to give it to myself to try it and see.
Yeah. So how was it in that year of,
Scary.
I'm sure, right? Because you're quite literally having all those thoughts, all those
Yeah,
feelings. And did you find yourself kind of in moments where you're like, maybe I'll just stay. Maybe this is
of
where I should
course.
be. And then like back down, like, no, we're going to do this.
Yeah, of course. Well, one of the things that I did, which, sometimes people are like, how did you pull this off? Okay. So I left the country. I literally moved away from the country. I moved to Spain and I did that for a couple of reasons. One, I was like, I've never had a chance to do something like this ever in my life. But I also was like, I can't go take that job back if I'm literally like living on the other side of the, ocean. And the way I pulled it off was I really manifested this opportunity. I put it out there that I was like, I want to write. I want to get strategic about what's going to happen next to my business. And I want to do so living somewhere near the ocean in Europe. Okay, that's what I want. I have no idea how I'm going to pull that off. And I can't take the money that I've now saved to like get myself through this time and go like spend it on some sort of like European seaside house. Like I'm not like at that level of like disposable income at this point. So I put it out there. And then I actually had a friend that called me and was like, hey, I know you've been like trying to do this thing. Like you've been talking about wanting to do this thing. His family had a home that his father had recently passed. His dad normally went and stayed in this home every summer. And his father wasn't going to be going because he had recently passed. And the whole family was like, we don't even know what the condition of the house is in. Like, hopefully it's all fine. And he said, hey, if you want to go and like stay at my dad's house in the southern coast of Spain for as long as, you want, a couple months, let us know how the house is. Like we may be sending some folks to do some work, but you want to be a caretaker of the house for a little while. I got there. The house was incredible. It's overlooking the Mediterranean. I could walk to the beach. It was right next door to a Buddhist temple. So it like kickstarted my meditation practice. It was like the ultimate gift. And I ended up staying for 6 months and
Wow.
rent free. So it was like, this doesn't happen unless like the universe is really like,
Mm,
hello, ma'am, let me deliver. It is time. You do not need to go back to the job. Go get into your meditation practice. Go spend time by the ocean. Learn how to like be with yourself in a new way. And that is ultimately, we all can't do that. But for me, that that moment of transformation, whether I had moved to Spain or not, was like learn to be with yourself, really start to trust yourself, get out and see things that you're not normally seeing in your day to day, like get new experiences, go be in a practice that perhaps is new to you. So if I had not gone to Spain, I still could have started a meditation practice that looked different from what I was doing before, exposed myself to cultural experiences, got out in nature, made a commitment for really that time with myself. I felt very lucky. I was able to do that in a really amazing place, but that ultimately, those were the things that made a big difference.
yeah. I love that you are bringing up this B factor because I feel like that is truly a place where we step more into the zone of alignment and empowerment, and we get to make choices that are really fueling that soul conscious level of what we are wanting to do and desiring to do because we're understanding ourselves and we're being that person that we want to be. And I love that you made the call to like you could have done all of those things where you were. You just had this opportunity to go
Yeah.
and expand it in an even deeper way in Spain by way of your own manifesting of like, this is what
Yeah.
I want to do. And the universe just handed it right over to you. But for those that don't have that opportunity, it truly is possible, right? It's just a matter of like dedication, that
Yeah.
dedication to self, to learn self, and to say, you know what, if I'm giving myself this year, I got to go all in on this year.
Yeah.
And I can't tell myself anything different.
Yeah. We talk about this idea a lot of taking inspirational action or inspired action. And what I learned during that time is, inspiration itself is it's a joy when inspiration is hitting. It is amazing when it's hitting, but it's not like, especially when you're in this like big comfort zone shift, it's not like it's hitting every day. And so the thing I had to learn to practice was not just the inspired action, but to take confrontational action. And what that really meant was I had to confront my reality. So my current reality was like running a fashion incubator, going to parties, drinking a lot, worrying about like, am I at the hottest restaurant? Spending my money on new shoes, like feeling validated because I had a house with a pool. When I confronted my new reality, it was like, that probably is going to have to look really different in this new version, this transformed version of me. And so, what are the things that I am doing today that I need to confront that have to look different? So, like, the idea of my meditation practice was going to be more important than like being at the restaurant of the moment. That was a confronting reality in a new way. It's like, that is not going to serve me going forward as I'm starting to build this new business and as I'm considering how I'm going to attract the people that are going to be a part of this business. So I think that that's something to really be in consideration of is what's your reality? How am I going to confront it to move with confidence into a new realm?
That's so like mind expansive right there. It's just that little nugget alone. Go back and listen again because that is truly a remarkable way to go about thinking about the things that you're doing that might not be serving the person that
Yeah.
you are wanting to become
Yeah.
and the life that you're wanting to step into. And I see how that kind of mentality and that thought process and you being in that zone of doing that for yourself is now playing out in how you're doing things currently. So
Yeah.
we got to talk about a week ago. You had me on your show, and you let me know over there that you had this kind of thought when it came to Instagram of like, that's not the place for you, or sales can't come from
Yeah.
there. But when you dropped in, it was kind of realizing there was just a different way to go about it.
Yeah.
And then over the past week, I've been watching the reels and everything that you're doing and how you're expanding on that and just really diving deep. So I would love for you to share with us kind of what that looked like, because I'm sure there was some
Yeah.
of this kind of facing of self that came up during that.
Yeah, 1000%. Yeah. So now I'm practicing that like confrontational action all the time. So I was like one of those elder millennial types that built an Instagram that had a nice following from like my days of travel and like taking really beautiful pictures. And actually saw an account post about my account the other day, and they were like, she has 2,500 posts. That's 7 years of posts. And I was like, oh my God, that really is 7 years of posts. So, like 7 years ago, what I was posting is obviously incredibly different from what I'm posting today. And so, I started Instagram in like 2013. So it's really 10 years of posting time. And I built this nice following that was very interested in my travels. And my business is not really about travel. I do like love to inspire the women in my community to go and travel. I think it does a lot for us. So in the last year, I looked at it and I was like, okay, if you had asked me, do I think that Instagram is a place where we can make sales in our business? I would have said no. I would have said it's a great place for nurturing relationships. It's a great place for cultivating community, but it's not a great place for selling. And I was like, kind of like, okay, that's just it. That's the thing. My account is, there was moments where I was like, it's kind of dead. Like I'm not posting very frequently. Yes, I jump on stories sometimes. I have a nice following, so it's giving me some authority when people do check me out. They're like, oh, she's got, 45,000 followers. That's a lot of people. And so I was like, it's good. It's fine. I'm just going to, let this be what it is. And then I had this thought maybe 4 or 5 months ago. I was like, that thing that I was thinking at the beginning of this year about this is only a place for nurturing. What if I confront that reality that's just not true, that I'm just making that an excuse to not reach more people with my message using this platform? It's free. It's available to me every day. There are millions, probably billions of people on it. So like, who am I to say that like I don't have the ability to convert my message into sales on this app? So I confronted that. And then I took a really different approach. People ask me all the time, like, I'm doing it, but it's not working. I'm doing it, it's not working. And I'm like, have you taken a different approach? Because if you're doing it, it's not working. Your approach is not, it's honestly, it's not the algorithm. It's probably you. It's honestly probably you. And that you've not taken a different strategy. So I got really strategic. I looked at my human design first and I was like, okay, use human design in everything in my world. Why am I not using it for my marketing and my social media? So I looked at human design first. Okay, what does my human design say about how I should show up on this app? And I analyzed that and I was like, okay, that's giving me a very new perspective. Then I looked at how are people actually using this app? What are they there for? How do I use it? How do the people around me use it? And how do I show up in a different way that meets the needs of how people use the app? So I started thinking about it from the standpoint of, for me, as a manifesting generator with profile lines 1-3 and sacral authority, that my content needed to be like a mini how-to library, that I'm showing people how I do things in a way that they can relate to. The 1-3 in me says, I have a secret genius and I'm quite relatable. So I was like, okay, I need to build content that shares my genius in a relatable way and that is a mini how-to library for people. So I changed up everything about my strategy and now it's like going like wildfire. It's incredible. So like this past month, I sold 20K in new courses just from Instagram because of course I'm tracking like where everybody's coming from. And in new people coming into my course community, 20,000 of that was just from Instagram. So I was like, okay, hello. Like, obviously, this is working. And this month has been the biggest month when I really made a pivot in my strategy. It was like August, and it was like, okay, I had my best sales month of the year in August. September beat August, October beat September, and then November topped those months as well. And, that's not counting my mastermind clients, my CEO clients, my corporate clients, any of the other things I'm doing. It's literally just new course sales from new leads. So
And we're
making
only
that,
halfway through November.
yeah, and we're only on
Let's
days.
make that
Yeah,
known.
yeah, as we record, it's like day 16. So yeah, so like that has been it really took me like confronting what I believe to be true about what was possible and then getting really strategic. And in my community, that's one of the big things I'm helping the women with in a big way is like, how do we take this and go from Instagram to likes to leads to income in a brand new way?
I love it. And it totally just, you're taking all that you are teaching and cultivating and interjecting it into your own way, right? By that way of
Yeah,
inspiration, that creativity, that analysis, and really diving in and analyzing what wasn't working before,
right.
shifting that, but also shifting the narrative and your mind around the connection to Instagram, bringing in
Yeah,
all of the human design and just your core essence and what you already and how you operate in a way that it works for you so that people feel you. And there's just that also call for the energy that then comes from everything we create when we're in that aligned space. And we're
totally.
so deeply connected to what we're creating. And you
Yeah,
can see that, right? You can see that in what you're sharing. You can see that in the results that you're getting. And you can see that just in the way that you're speaking and sharing about it now, right? When that factor lights you up, that says, okay, this is a string that hits my soul's chord, and
yeah,
this is what resonates, and this is what feels good. And that's where that like auric field then expands and other people feel it. Like
for
gotta
sure.
get this.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm getting messages all the time that are like, girl, I'm just vibing with your energy. Like what you're doing here, I'm so vibing with this. And I feel that. Like I can feel the shift in how I'm showing up. And then when I talk to women in my community, like there's two big things that people say. They're like, I don't have time for this. That's one thing. And then the other is, so I don't have time. And then there's this like fear of like, it's irresponsible to be on social media.
Mhm.
So when they tell me the thing of like, I don't have time for this, and then I walk them through like, what would it look like if you had an additional $20,000 in sales in a couple of weeks' time in your business? Like, now do you have time for this? Like, you probably do. And
Yeah.
I am not spending multiple hours a day doing this. Like I'm committing a day a month to filming a bunch of B-roll. And I talk about that on my reels, like how I go through that process. And then I like map out some like key messaging. I'm pulling most of that messaging from things I've already written that's inside of my course materials or the other things that are on my website. And then, I'm taking 30 minutes a day and plugging that in and making to that day's content go. And, I think about like, do we all have 30 minutes to drive multiple thousands of dollars of sales in our businesses? I think we do. So,
Mhm.
that's like how I want people to think when they're like, I don't have time for this. And then the second part of like, but like, isn't it, I feel bad or I have like this fear of like the scroll. I really challenged myself to anytime I was going to get on the app, it was about creating, not scrolling. And so
Mm.
if I'm on it, yes, I will go check in with my people. I've got them like all starred in that like little area where you like get served their stuff first. Go check in with my people, check my DMs, handle that stuff. And then no more scrolling, just creating. And then I'm out. And so when I like ask the women in my community, is it irresponsible for you to make a commitment to create in order to make sales? All day long, it is not irresponsible. Is it not great for you to spend hours scrolling? Maybe. I don't know. Probably that isn't serving you. But if you can transform that scroll time to creation time all day long, go do it.
Yeah. Hello, boundaries.
Yeah, exactly.
Instead of doom scrolling, get into the
Yeah,
creative zone. And then when you're not in that zone of doom scrolling,
Hmm.
You also aren't comparing yourself to what
So true.
everybody else is doing. You're just so
Yeah.
dedicated to your practice and what you're showing up as and cultivating that energy and creating that consistency and just bringing everything to life in a really powerful way. I think that that transition and how you just shared all of that with us is so helpful because I think that that's where a lot of people are stuck.
Yeah.
There's just that unknowingness of how do I transition from showing up and creating all of this content into actual money? Is there a way? I'm not recognizing that energetic piece and that understanding of self rather than looking at what everybody else is doing and saying, okay, if I just copy and paste that onto my account, I'll be successful and I'll do the thing. But really, it's not you, right? It's serving
Yeah.
that person because it's them,
Yeah.
it's their essence. And so you copy and pasting, it's not going to serve you as well as you stepping into this place like you're doing, Andy, and just allowing your true
Yeah.
vibration and all of your gifts and everything to show there. And
1000%.
yeah. And then so as you're doing all that, and you're building this revenue stream now through Instagram and really showing people that there is a way to do it without spending hours of your day and hours of your time wasted away with our heads in our phones. You're also building a skincare line.
Yeah. Yeah, I am.
Where do you find the time, girl?
No, I know. I know. It is so classic Manny Jen, isn't it? It's really, really true. Yeah. And I'll add this. When you get your systems down, when you have your procedures, you've probably heard of like standard operating procedures. I had to get really good at what mine were going to be in my business. And an exercise that I think is really helpful is to track everything that I'm doing in any given week and then look at, okay, what is driving revenue? Where am I implementing time for creativity? And outside of those two things, there can't really be a lot on my calendar that isn't those two things. So, and if I am driving revenue, then I can get the support that I need. But if I'm like stuck in the weeds, which is hard at the beginning, of course, because you're going to be stuck in the weeds at the beginning, but as you start to grow, as you start to make money, then you can get the support that you need. And so I've been able to do that because I'm hyper focused on my time has to be creative, it has to be with my clients, or it has to be about a revenue driving activity. Anything else,
Mm.
I've got to find a way to get the support on those things. And at the beginning, that was really scary because I was like, oh, I'm going to pay somebody to do some things. Like, do I have the money to do that? I don't know. But like when you get to that next level where you can start to do that, it can make all the difference. And at the beginning, you just do what you can to like stay in the creative revenue driving space as much as possible. So yeah, so I've been working on the skincare line for 2 years. As I mentioned, I was in the beauty industry for a lot of years. And, 2 years ago, I was having this like moment of awareness that I have all this knowledge of how to do this. I've consulted on a lot of other brands. And, some people are like, I've got a product in me, I've got a book in me, I've got a thing in me. I was just having this feeling of like, I've got this product in me and I could feel it. And I wanted to create it. I knew very little about how to build an indie brand. The brands I had worked with were all like major brands, like owned by Estee Lauder, that have their own manufacturing facilities. So I had to learn everything from a very different lens. Like, how do I as an individual person go find a manufacturing facility? I don't know. I got to find that out. How do I go through the process of getting clean certifications, like the things that were really important to me? So I gave myself a lot of space to learn and started working on it. And so now 2 years later, we're prepping to launch our first three products. And it's very much designed for the woman that I am. It's for the woman who loves the sun and surf and being outdoors and wants hyper clean ingredients that are actually much cleaner than what we normally call clean in the US, and in really beautiful packaging that you like want to have on your counter because it makes you feel good and luxurious just to see it every day. So those things were really important to me. And so the brand is called Casa Noon, and it's really intended to make you feel like you're treating yourself to a little like luxury vacation every day with the products that you're putting on your skin. So It'll be coming top of the year. And it's just been such a joy to create it. And I've learned so much along the way. So that's the details.
That is so exciting. Yeah. I mean, product development in itself
It's
is
wild.
something else. But then you add in all the factors
Yeah.
of you're creating a beauty product that it
Yeah.
needs to be okay and
Yeah.
pass all the regulations for
Yeah.
your skin and everything else. And that I'm sure that was
It's a
quite,
thing.
yeah, quite the thing.
Yeah. It is a
But
thing. It is a thing.
so exciting. I can't wait to see it. I'm sure that it is going to be so stinking aesthetically pleasing
I
in
do love
so
a
many
great brand
ways.
aesthetic. Yeah. So that was
Oh,
really fun to design all of that.
yeah, we could tell. I could immediately tell from your Instagram, like, oh, this girl, she is all about just full in the brand, the look, embodying it, encompassing it. It's like you go on with your bad self.
Thank you.
Yes. And so, with all that we've talked about, I know that you have something incredible to offer all of the listeners. So I'm going to
Yeah.
let you kind of share what that is. And does it kind of bring in all of this that we have talked about today?
Yeah, it sure does. It absolutely does. So for listeners, if you're here today and you're checking out this episode and you're like, I want some of that, you can access my program called the Unschool Intuitive Business Academy. We have a special code for you to get $125 off of the program. It's all about creating, monetizing, and manifesting your six-figure brand. So whether you want to build a course, whether you want to build a product brand, whether you want to build some sort of digital offering, it can be anything. This is about learning the secrets of manifesting that business with intuition and proven practical strategies. So inside of the program, there are really two tracks. The first one's called the Unschool How to Start, and it's all about rewriting the rules of how to do business. And it's got all sorts of things. So it's very much through the lens of human design. So I'll help you to take your human design and then find the right strategies for you. And then it has swipe copy and pro level templates and checklists and everything you need to start that business. And then the second track is called Manifestation Blueprint. One of the things that I have found is that when we are stepping into our entrepreneurial era, it can feel really scary and hard to stay in that manifestation mindset. So the goal of Manifestation Blueprint is to help you break through doubts and self-sabotage as you're building your business. So the program has both, and you'll be able to get a link for it in the show notes.
Yes, it sounds so good. Like everything that so many people need on this journey of just embodiment and self-expression and learning how to run a business in a way that feels good to them. So I love that you're bringing in all of those pieces, all the strategy, but also that little woo-woo with
Yeah,
the human design and the intuition and the
for sure.
manifestation and all of that. Oh, so good. So yes, if that is something that piques your interest, check the show notes. You will find the link to get more information, to join, the code for you to get that $125 off. And outside of that, Andi, where can everybody follow you and find you for more?
Yeah. Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. It's Wee Wee Girl, OUIWEGIRL. And then the studio where we host all of our classes, workshops, events, retreats is Wee Wee Studio, OUIWE Studio. And then the beauty brand is Casa Noon Beauty on Instagram. And you can go follow that page to get updates on the launch of the products. So that's all the good stuff.
Yes, go follow her, dive into her incredible reels, take in all the information, and just get into her space, into her field, into her energy, because you will walk away with a deeper understanding of self and just a better way to kind of give yourself the belief that you can do this too, and that Instagram can serve you, and that you can build a really successful and profitable business just by showing up as yourself in your energy, in your essence, and letting yourself be seen and felt and heard for all of your goodness and all of your gifts. So, Andi, thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. It was such a great conversation. I loved being able to just pick your brain and have the little deeper understanding of kind of the process that you've gone through to get to where you are today. I cannot wait to continue watching as you just build and grow and see how beautiful these products are going to be. I can't wait.
Thank you so much. It's been such a joy and a pleasure to be here and to get to hang out and have another conversation with you.
Yes, we'll talk with you soon. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode on Behind the Boss Lady podcast. Be sure to follow me over on Instagram at the Shelby St.clair and subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Leave a review or share with me what your biggest takeaway was. I can't wait to connect with you more, and I will see you next week.